All right, so it's another day and another chapter in Paul's letter to the church in Ephesus. Now, this is chapter 3, and it starts out again, like I mentioned yesterday, he's talking about the Gentiles, and he lays it on real heavy to start the chapter. He's like, I'm in jail because of you. Now, he's not doing that to put the blame on them. In fact, he says later on he doesn't want them to be discouraged. But it is important to remember, Paul's writing from a jail, and he's in jail because he's been trying to tell people about Jesus. He's been trying to start these new churches. And he really goes into the whole idea that these Gentiles, these non-Jewish people, again, are invited into this Jesus movement, which to us seems like common sense, but to them was nuts. It would have been like if you've got a dad who owns a butcher shop, right? And let's say it's a small family butcher, but it gets kind of big and like well known in the area. And then one day he just decides, your family decides, like, we're going global. And now it's a meat company all around the world, right? Or a flower shop, whatever you want it to be. But it went from this tiny thing to just everywhere. And he says it's like a mystery revealed that now everyone's involved in this Jesus thing. Now, for us, a little more like close to home, toward the end of this chapter, let's see, it's in verse 14. We see another prayer from Paul. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole New Testament, actually. He's praying for these people in this new church. And again, just like chapter 1, he prays for stuff that we don't typically pray for. Like we pray for comfort and health and money. And I don't know, like there are things that we tend to pray for. And what I've noticed is that he seems to be thinking and caring about other things. Here he prays again for a certain type of knowledge, specifically knowledge that they would know the extent of God's love for them. He uses all these measurement terms, and he's like, that's what I want. Like, this is why I bow my knee. This is why I pray, because I want you to understand just how much you're loved. And then he finishes by saying, like, yeah, but it surpasses knowledge, so you're not even ever going to, like, grasp the whole thing. This is important because John says that we love because God first loved us. Like, in other words, we love to the extent that we understand just how deeply we're loved. And that's a pretty profound idea. So think about that today. That would be my challenge for you today. Like, stop and think about why. Like, why is this the thing that he wants? Writing from a jail to people that he cares about. Like, there's so many things he could ask for. He's like, no, this is what I'm praying for, and I want them to know this. Like, what kind of implications do you think that has for us today? And honestly, that's my prayer for you. That's my prayer for me, that we would understand what God is like. We would know the extent of his love, because understanding that, grasping it, or trying to at least, has the potential to change lives. The other thing I want to say briefly today is that this is a short chapter, and it's a great chapter to go look at another translation in, right? So if you have an app, you've got access to a ton of translations. We typically use the NIV. That's like the Bible we usually read on Sunday mornings. But there are some other ones, like the NASB. This is the NASB. Now, translations, they're different, and they're written for different reasons. There are translations that are more thought-for-thought translations, and then there are more word-for-word translations. NIV is a little more thought-for-thought. NASB, New American Standard Bible, that's more word-for-word, so it's clunky. It's hard to read. It's not easy to read in public, but you see a little bit more of the intentional word structure that Paul sets up. Whereas NIV, you might miss some emphasis, but it's going to flow a lot smoother. So because it's a short chapter, it might be a good one to check out a different translation. And, the NLT is a great thought-for-thought translation. It's super casual language. The ESV is another one that's like more word-for-word, pretty good. These are the two that I like, NIV, New International Version, and New American Standard Bible. But check out another one. It'll be a cool chapter to read. Maybe read the chapter in both translations or in a few. All right, that's all I got for you today. Hope to see you tomorrow. And tomorrow will be day 4.